That's not a meal. Hey everyone, I'm Abbey Sharp. Welcome to Abby's Kitchen. In today's video, we'll be catching back up with Miss Remi Ashten and taking a look at what she eats in a week. But first, let me tell you about my sponsor, Storrington Hall. So Storrington Hall is a really fun online game that's based around the Green family and their inherited old mansion. It has honestly been such a great way to unwind on stressful days that still feels somewhat stimulating and fun. Basically, you play for the youngest daughter, Jane, and you get to solve all of these really interesting puzzles related to other characters' secrets and betrayal. If you like home decorating, that's in here too. So you actually get to furnish the house and plant the garden exactly to your style. And my personal favorite part is dressing up the characters and throwing fancy balls and parties. It is like strangely satisfying to get to match their costumes with their hair and jewelry, and you don't have to like pay for it in real life. It's also possible to play with friends by inviting them through Facebook, and then you can tackle some of the match 3 levels as a team. So if you want to try out Storrington Hall yourself, you can install the game using my link in the description or scan the QR code on the screen and get a bonus for new players. Infinite lives for 6 hours. And you can pause the screen or look at the description to check out my disclaimer, including a trigger warning to those with current or previous experiences with disordered eating. So as always, feel free to skip this video if it's not supportive to your journey. And if you are not already subscribed, hit that subscribe button and follow me over on TikTok and Instagram at Abby's Kitchen. So if you recall, during our last review, Remi was on a weight loss journey while managing her PCOS, so her diet was inherently pretty low calorie and low carb. She seemed to bounce between kind of like clean eating and engaging in cheat day mukbang-like behaviors, which you guys know I don't feel are super conducive to long-term health. So in this video from April 2022, Remi challenges herself to try to save some money by cooking more often at home because she, like so many of us, has been relying a lot more on takeout and delivery during the pandemic. So let's start off by looking at one of Remi's money-saving healthy breakfast hacks for the week.
I'm going to do one of my favorite therapeutic activities, and that is juicing. So I just spent some time and I prepped all of our ingredients that we're gonna juice tonight. We have 7 juices. This will last Cal and I a little bit over 3 days. It tastes great, makes me feel good. I love it. Also, like, one of these containers in LA would be the price that it was to make all of them. So doing it at home is just so much better. And again, therapeutic.
Okay, so I know you guys all think that I hate juice, but I actually love it when it's presented like this. As Remi says, juicing her own produce for the week is therapeutic. It tastes great to her, it makes her feel good, and it saves her money. Money in motion! So if your juicing ritual is rooted in self-care, intuition, and enjoyment, rather than diet culture and pseudoscience, it's exactly what we love to see. I'm also a meal prepping fan in general, so it makes sense to make a big batch of juice since it does kind of feel like a big production to do. I do want to point out though that unpasteurized fresh produce juice like this will start to slowly lose nutritional content over time, potentially as early as like 30 minutes after it's pressed. Now, I think it's well worth the added convenience because slightly dulled nutrients in batch prepped juice is certainly better than no nutrients because you don't have time to juice daily. But I would say that most fresh juice should only be kept in the fridge for 3 days or so, like she said. Now, this yummy looking juice often makes an appearance in Remi's breakfast throughout the week, combined with a piece of fruit and a Go macro bar, a yogurt cup, or a couple hard-boiled eggs with coconut aminos. Another day, she just has an apple and a peanut butter packet because she's on the go and in a rush. In general, I love that we're getting some micronutrients in our green juice and usually some source of fat and protein in the nut butter, eggs, or bar. But I will say most of the time we're looking at between 10 to 15 grams of protein, which is a solid start, but I think we would find if we bumped this up just a little bit, we'd feel a lot more satiated and energized between meals. We know how important hunger crushing combos are for for everyone, but they're particularly important for folks with PCOS or blood sugar management issues. So if it were me, I would suggest combining some of these breakfast components together, like having the eggs and the yogurt or the nut butter and the eggs. And that's just gonna help to amp up the protein intake. I actually think her best meal of the week was her kind of later brunch style breakfast, where she had eggs and vegan sausage for protein, half an avocado for fiber and fat, and an air fried hash brown for some carbs. That looked like a super sustaining morning meal and also pretty delicious. Now let's talk about snacks. So again, this week was all about cooking the foods that she loves and craves that she would often just DoorDash in. And as we know, cooking from scratch often takes time. So I love that if a meal prep was taking a little bit longer than usual and she was hungry, Remy would honor her hunger and have like a little appetizer as a snack. Sometimes it's like a simple steamed dumplings or microwave soup dumplings. Sometimes it's the batch prepped hard-boiled eggs. And sometimes it's something super convenient like a store-bought pudding. And I love that. Sometimes you just need a little pre-meal appy to take the edge off so that you can sit down and enjoy your meal without the hangry drama. It's also obvious to me that Remy's able to listen to her body when she doesn't feel that she absolutely needs to finish everything that's on her plate or in her glass. Case in point, this amazing looking iced latte with Rice Krispie Treat creamer. That sounds insanely good.
I made myself a latte. This is a double shot espresso latte with almond milk and Rice Krispie Treat coffee creamer. Drinking my coffee, I don't know what it is. I can never finish a coffee drink. Please let me know if you are also the same.
I know, but there are actually some days that even a coffee addict like me has like a sip of coffee and my body says no. And even though my brain is like, I want this, it's coffee time, and I love coffee time, I find it actually feels punishing to drag myself through a food or drink when my body or like just my mouth is turned off it. So I appreciate Remy's intuition on the coffee front. Let's be real, the first sip or bite of anything will always taste the best. Now let's move on to lunches. So we've got a really nice assortment here of some more convenience foods and homemade meals, all of which look really delicious and simple. Leftovers seem to be a strong lunch theme, which we love. There's really no reason to spend an hour in the middle of the workday making lunch when you can just easily double your dinner prep the night before. So one day she made a big kale salad the night before for dinner and topped the leftovers with some shrimp for protein, nuts and Parmesan for fat, and avocado for fiber and fat as well. Another day was a leftover piece of toast, crinkle fries, and a chicken tender and aioli. And for a home prep day, she air fried up some chicken wings and served it with a protein dip. And on a busy day, she managed to like snatch her bestie's meal prep, which was some jerk whitefish and green beans. All of these lunches sound amazing, but I would say in most cases, they seem a little bit low carb. And I know she has PCOS, and so she's probably being conditioned to keep her meals super low carb to control her blood sugars. But for all of you at home, working to manage your blood sugars for various reasons, I want you to know that carbs are not the devil.
But be warned, Satan knows me big.
We can absolutely still enjoy carbs at every meal or snack. We just want to choose mostly higher fiber options or pair them with a solid amount of protein and fat. So the salad, for example, looks amazing, but we could easily make this into a more satiating meal with like a whole grain pita or roasted sweet potato in the mix. Ditto for the jerk chicken and green beans, which I'm not sure was like a very satiating full meal. Even a piece of fruit on the side would have been a fiber-rich, energizing choice. Now the chicken wings on their own probably seem like a very light meal, but they did have a soup dumpling starter to kind of like build that out. And the protein in the chicken and the dip could definitely help to slow down that insulin response as well. So that is a winning combination to me.
Oh no, she didn't.
Now, there may be some benefit for folks with impaired insulin sensitivity to having the protein or the veggies before the higher carb food. But to keep it simple for most folks, I think the combo alone is a really great start. I also have some thoughts on this meal specifically.
For lunch, I'm having leftovers. I've got the last chicken tender, fries, piece of toast, and cane sauce. A delicious, nutritious lunch.
Love me a quick and easy leftover meal, but as a PCOS warrior myself, I would try to shift around the portions a bit. So carbs are not the enemy with PCOS. But again, we want to make sure that we are dressing up naked carbs with a solid amount of protein and healthy fats to slow down that insulin response. So I would double or triple the chicken portion to aim for at least 20 grams of protein per meal and add some crunchy veggies in here, like maybe some baby carrots or bell peppers on the side for some fiber and micronutrients. No fuss, but still quite balanced. Now let's talk about dinner.
The thing that sounds absolutely best to me right now is a McDonald's double cheeseburger. Hold the pickles, hold the mustard, medium fry, and an orange iced tea. Maybe even an apple pie. I feel like I'm doing the thing that the moms say where it's like, we have food at home to myself, but it's for the better of my wallet, better of my health, and we're gonna go home and I'm gonna make something that's not as delicious, but still good.
I want to talk about whether or not this sounds like a restrictive mindset. So a lot of people who oppose intuitive eating suggest that, like, people like me criticize people for making healthy choices and applaud them for eating junk. But that's missing a lot of the nuance in what I do. Ultimately, intuitive eating is not the eat whatever the you want diet. It's about self-care and intention. And it sounds to me that Remy is making a choice to cook at home, not in a restrictive effort to necessarily shrink her body, but to honor that it feels good to her body and also her financial goals. So it's the difference between, I want to eat a McDonald's double cheeseburger, but that is bad, so I'm gonna go eat a salad without any dressing at home, and I want to eat a McDonald's double cheeseburger, but I know I can make an equally badass burger at home. I can save money, and I'll probably feel better if I serve it with a yummy salad for some fiber and micronutrients. And we've got lots of evidence of this kind of additive mentality throughout the week. For example, Remy makes herself a delicious looking sandwich packed with roast beef for protein, avocado for healthy fats, veggies for fiber, and pairs it with a small bowl of hot Cheetos for fun. And I think there are a few really good teachable moments in this sandwich meal alone to discuss. One, let's talk about Remy hollowing out the bun. Well, this is a classic diet tip that we've seen on every calorie slashing listicle. Remy's rationale isn't to cut calories, but to
shove things inside this little hole.
I'm sorry, Remy, but we have to. Brody?
That's what she said.
One of my favorite super non-diety sandwiches, the muffaletta, is only good when I hollow out the bread. If I don't, the ratio of meat to cheese to bread is just like devastatingly wrong. It's not about saving calories at that point. I'm probably adding calories, but that is just how I like the sandwich best. And when we can think about making additive diet changes from a place of what feels good to me, what do I actually prefer if calories didn't matter, we are much more likely to make those changes without falling into a binge restrict cycle. I also loved when she said,
since I had the kale salad for lunch, I'm not gonna force myself to put any lettuce on my sandwich.
And you shouldn't. There is no universe where the minute nutritional benefit of putting a piece of lettuce on your sandwich would outweigh the detriment of now making a sandwich that you don't like and triggering a satisfaction hunt for something else. Folks, eat food you like, don't eat food you don't like. Also, back to the homemade burgers, because they do look bomb. I love that she paired the mini burgers with like some frizzled onions for that restaurant quality vibe, and a kale salad on the side with lots of fiber and healthy fats. Another night, she had a full Korean barbecue supper because she said she was craving red meat on her period. And I loved that we had a good spread of protein, carbs, fat, and some veg. But let's talk about the night that she went out.
I'm to an event tonight, and I don't have time to make dinner, so I'm eating a chocolate oatmeal protein bar. This will hold me over till I get home and I can have real dinner. Got home from the event. It is currently midnight and I'm hungry, so I'm making dinner. And I went with bulldog noodles. These are, it's like a ramen, instant ramen. I'm also cooking some rice cakes in here as well. I love this because it's so yummy, but also so quick to make. And for a hungry girl like me, I need it now. Hurry, I'm gonna eat and go to bed.
A lot of people ask me how to handle these situations from an intuitive eating perspective when, you sometimes have to eat at more unusual meal times when you're not really hungry. So again, it's important to remember that intuitive eating is not the hunger fullness diet. So if you eat when you're not hungry or you don't stop when you're full, you're not doing this wrong. This is about self-care.
Treat yourself.
And sometimes if you know that you're walking into a meeting or event where you can't so easily eat and you maybe aren't hungry now, but you know that you will be then, it's best to preemptively have a meal or snack to keep yourself comfortable. This is an act of self-care.
Treat yourself.
It's okay if your normal meal has to be split into 2 meals or you need a bedtime snack afterwards when maybe you normally don't. It's the intuitive thing to do to think ahead to prevent this hangry meltdown. I know personally I would have been like toast by midnight and completely incapable of cooking a meal. So I would have like front loaded a big meal pre-event and had a small easy snack before bed. But Remy is younger than me, so she can probably rally a lot better than me.
She has a bad hangover, which she is pretending is allergies.
So while I'm not sure what kind of event she was at and why she couldn't have access to any food at the event, if this is what worked for her, it works for me. Now, if I had any meal balancing tips, it would just be to maybe like add an extra egg and maybe some nutritional yeast to bump up the protein to promote better blood sugar control as you sleep. Finally, let's talk dessert. So Remy doesn't have dessert every night, but she does mention that she craves chocolate and junk food when she's on her period. So one night she has some bits of a chocolate bar and another night she has a bowl of ice cream. Both delicious choices in my books. And food cravings during our cycle are actually scientifically proven. So research suggests that there may be a relationship between leptin and estrogen hormones and the food cravings that we experience. When leptin levels are low and estrogen levels are higher, we may be more likely to desire carb-rich sweet foods. All of this is totally normal and in my opinion, not something that we need to suppress. But knowing that Remy has PCOS, which often has implications for blood sugar management, and that we tend to see lower insulin sensitivity in the evening, I would try to dress up those naked carbs to turn them into more hunger-crushing combos. So maybe it's as simple as just serving them with some nuts on the side or on top. So to sum us up, I applaud Remy for taking a financial challenge to try to cook more often at home. It looks like since our last check-in, Remy has kind of relaxed a lot of the diet rules in her day, and we're seeing more flexibility in her meals. Her calorie intake also looks a lot more substantial than we last checked in, and we're seeing a more equal spread of macros as well. My suggestion for someone like Remy, as somebody also who has PCOS, is to aim to amp up that breakfast meal with some additional protein and carbs to really take advantage of the increased insulin sensitivity at that time of day. I would also try to dress up those naked carbs with a little bit more protein and fat to help stabilize the blood sugar response and offer more staying power as well. I've watched a lot of Remy's content, and while I know that she does some kind of like mukbang content, and it often features more stereotypical high-calorie foods like donuts, I don't see her engaging in like chaotic, over-the-top cheat day-like eating. It seems like a fun activity to do with like-minded foodie friends to try out a bunch of fun foods rather than a classic cheat day food tour where she's eating all of the donuts in one go. So keep at it, Remy. And if you ever want to chat about PCOS and food, you know who to call. And on that note, that's all that I have for you guys today. If you like this video, be sure to give it the thumbs up. And thank you again to Storrington Hall for sponsoring. Remember, you can install the game using my link in the description and get a bonus for new players. Infinite lives for 6 hours. Leave me a comment below on who or what you'd like to see me review next. Subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time on Abby's Kitchen. Bye!